Hey everyone, it's actually David from the future here, and while I was editing the audio, I just wanted to give a brief intro and just kind of let everybody know what was kind of the deal with this episode. I noticed that when it came to James Curry's mic, it did tend to glitch out a little bit in the beginning, but for a majority of the episode, it's pretty fine, and I really hope that I smoothed out the audio as best as I could. However, I do want to give a little bit of an audio content warning because we talk a little bit about the COVID pandemic and the ensuing lockdown, as well as like barely touch on the new variant that's been going around, as well as talking about mental health during that time. The discussion does start at 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 12 seconds, and it does end, and we move on from the subject entirely at about 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 54 seconds. So if you guys don't want to hear that, then I will have an audio cue around that time. It's going to sound like this. Hear it at the 1 hour, 19-minute mark, and then generally at the 1 hour, 27-minute mark, then it's pretty much safe to go ahead and go about it. Okay, all right. Enjoy the episode. Peace. Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. It's episode 11, I think, at this point. There's probably a missing episode in there, and I'll address that issue at a later date. But today, I have a very special guest. Um, he has a webcomic that has surpassed over 1,000 followers on Webtoon already. James Curry, everybody. First of all, I want to say congratulations for surpassing that goal.
Thank you so much. It's great to be on here. For anyone who doesn't know, my webcomic is called Sweet Dreams on Webtoon.
And you can go on a little bit about like your
Oh,
general
okay.
synopsis of what it's actually about.
So Sweet Dreams, I'll just pull up I always forget the synopsis even though I work on it like every day. So Virid Robinson,
Yeah,
main character, is a 17-year-old who yearns to get out of her small town with bad memories of bullying and terror. And basically her childhood friend comes back into her life, and it's kind of an enemies to friends to lovers type deal. Very like fluffy romance. Think everything on Webtoon.
right. So one of the first questions I want to ask you
Yeah.
is, how did the process of Sweet Dreams really come about? Because you mentioned before when we were talking a little bit before the show that
Mhm.
you've been making Sweet Dreams and planning it and plotting it for about over
Mhm.
3 years at this point. So where did it the
Yeah.
idea, like the seed of the idea get planted, and then when did it really start to grow?
Yeah, so I'm a very visual person, so I basically started with character designs. And I wanted a very studious character that loves to overwork herself. Because at the time of my life, I was doing the same thing. And I kind of wanted something to project onto. Now that was I had a it's a reboot technically. So I did try to launch it with a lot of other themes one time or two times, I believe. Um but unfortunately it wasn't narratively um sound, I would say. A lot of the themes just did not make sense with the story and the plot. So what I did was I took a break for about a year. On and off, I would draw Virid and Sif, and all Sif is the main love interest. And I would draw them, and I would be like, I'm really interested in something draws me to this character design. I've been doing it forever. Firstly, it was like in 2019, I believe. I started drawing Virid and Sif, and from there I started thinking about narrative. And at first, the story had like a very fantasy element to it. It had
Right,
convoluted powers, and
right.
it was just confusing to even like it was confusing to even explain. And at that point, I'm like, if I can't explain this to someone my age, I should probably yank it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and so if you haven't seen the original, which God bless, no one has, unless you actively search it out, which okay. So the original basically had powers that when you go to sleep, you can kind of project into other
Mhm.
people's like dreams to subtly manipulate them. I
Yeah.
mean, I think another person could take that and like roll with it, and they're so smart,
Yeah.
big brained that they could totally roll with that. But I was like 17 at the time, and no diss track to 17-year-olds, but at that point in my life, I was not the best writer, and I don't think I
Right.
could even still like implement that right now. Um, and I figured out the themes were not coinciding with the manipulation powers. So, I basically quit the first edition of the comic and I was like, okay, this is kind of ugly, first of all. And it like if you see my illustrations back then, my illustrations were pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie. But the
Mhm.
comic, I feel I was so constricted in like desaturated, like weird browns and greens. And I love me a good green. I love me a good brown. But the way I was using so much of those colors and like desaturated, it looked a little bit not appealing to me. And this is nothing to say about anyone else's work. It's just my work. I'm not dissing anyone here. But so I took a break for a good like 5 or 6 months. I said it was a year before, but it was honestly on and off. I worked on Sweet Dreams
Right.
until like 3 months ago. And I basically woke up one day and I was like, okay, I have this story that I've been working on forever. Why don't I do something with these characters that I love? Like, it's obvious that this could be like a long-term project, but I get burnt out so much and I don't like the product, so why not like, plan a little bit? And that right there is the best advice I can give to anyone. Please plan your comic. I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but it's just I started scripting out scene by scene, and I started out with the outline, of course. I started out with the premise, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of the fantasy element because that is not working. Visually, it was the best part of the original comic, but thematically, writing wise, no. So, sorry. So basically, yeah, let me get my train of thought.
You're all good. Actually, I
Yeah,
wanted to touch on some of the things that you were, talking about.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I was always actually going to bring up some of the work that you have
Mhm.
on your portfolio website, which for
Oh
everyone
God,
listening will also be linked in the description. Because I did find some stuff that was actually very interesting.
yeah,
One of which was the picture from an earlier version of Sweet Dreams of what now I know is
yeah.
Virid astral projecting.
Yeah, yes.
So that was a concept, and I want to touch on a little bit of like I did find a post where you
Yeah,
mentioned that it was also on your portfolio site where you
yeah,
do mention that the first version of Sweet Dreams was supernatural. So
yeah.
was Virid only supposed to be the one with those powers, or did Sif have some element of that too?
Yeah, so Virid was the one who was supposed to have those powers because I really wanted to like have Virid be the specialist person ever. I like I feel like I wanted this power to be stigmatized a little bit. And
Right.
that toes its way into like a metaphor for things that I don't want to I don't have the scope for because at first I was like, okay, this will be like kind of like a kind of new like thing that people are scared of because if that was in real life I would be scared too. But then I was
Right.
like, oh wait, that I remember Beastars, and then I remember Zootopia, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't do that. I mean, yeah, that's basically what happened. And I'm like, ooh, that was another reason I was like, charitably, it would, because I always err on the side of caution when portraying like discrimination and stuff like that,
Yeah.
especially in stories. And I feel like metaphors for discrimination sometimes fall a little flat for me.
Yeah.
Like
It's
superpowers and stuff, like
yeah,
not like
it,
in general.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's more of a like a lack of experience with telling a
Yeah.
tale that way.
Yes, definitely. It's more for me, I did not have the scope. But if someone else like went to Harvard, got several like screenwriters, like
Yeah.
had their shit together, I'm sure you could do it. I'm sure. Like,
Yeah. I was gonna say that the problem with something like not Utopia, Zootopia, is that they tried to cram so many layers of real world discrimination in a kids film because it was like it would have been okay if you slapped like one or two elements, of the base
yeah,
discrimination, like say,
so.
you know, the fact that
It
Judy
was
was
just
a
very
rabbit.
convenient.
The fact that Judy was a rabbit inside
Yeah,
the
yeah,
workforce, that was already enough. And that one was already cool.
yeah.
But then
Like you're good.
they slapped gender relation, race relation
Yeah.
metaphors. It was very convoluted.
In my in my opinion, it takes a very specific skill set to write those kinds of stories, and you have to keep it tightly written. You have to keep the stakes appropriate. And like for me, I realized I was making this like fluffy romance type deal with the backdrop of one second, of like this discrimination plotline, and I'm like, do I really want do I really want to do that? Like, because I'm sure other people can do this, but for me, it ended up being like, okay, this is like the backdrop though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that to be I don't want homophobia to be the backdrop. I don't want like I just wanted at the core of it, I wanted to make a cute, fluffy romance story that I've worked on for a very long time. It's not anything world ending,
Right.
but it's what I love. And
Yeah.
what I was trying to make, I feel like was out of my scope. Um that was a very long answer. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, because it was because the first edition would have been something like I take it
Yeah.
like trying to this is a
Yeah.
dumbass metaphor, but
Mhm.
it's like when you go up to like a sandwich shop for the first time and you're trying to order something different, so you try to come up with all these like little combinations that you think would
Yeah.
sound good, really
Exactly.
good, but in
Yeah.
practice like the flavors clash and it's just a giant mess.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, I can
It's like when
understand
you're a
why.
kid and you're trying to make a soup and you don't know what a soup is,
Yeah,
and so you just put raw potatoes in it and you're like, "This is fine," but no, you need to cook the potatoes more, you need to learn how to
yeah,
cook. You can't eat that soup. Yeah, I think that I think that ending the comic the first comic was a good
oh
idea
yeah,
at the end.
yeah,
'Cause, yeah, art-wise, plot-wise, I just wasn't, like, vibing with it.
yeah.
It wasn't a story that I would read, you
Yeah,
know?
and not to mention that the way that Webtoon is, practically formatted is that you
Yeah.
can, you have to, because how would I explain this? So Sweet Dreams is already 5 episodes in, but really what's been happening is like if Sweet Dreams was a movie, the first 5 episodes that
Yeah.
are out right now, read it by the way, Webtoon in the description. The first 5 episodes would
Oh, thank
the first
you.
5 episodes would probably take place within the first, what would you say, 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah,
In
yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so. 'Cause it's like the setup, it's like acclimating you, yeah.
Yeah. So if you had the first version, you would have a lot of information to cram within those first 5 minutes.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just I really going on to like the new version of Sweet Dreams. I love my story. Like it's a little bit webcomics creators get a little bit like antsy about talking about their stories, and I understand that
Right.
completely. But truly, I would read my story. I mean, like I think that's the
Yeah.
goal. And for me, it's just like I acknowledge it has flaws, of course, but I feel like it's such a vast improvement from my old one, and artistically too. Because on Webtoon, not a lot of people like understand this readers wise, but on Webtoon, a lot of the comics that succeed really well, and I must reiterate, on Webtoon, do not do this. Do not do this regularly. It is okay to improve your art, but on this platform, it's like you have to have stellar art for your first episode, or you might not get picked up for like a hot minute.
which is
And I
fair.
think yeah, I think that's a flaw though. I
It
think that's
is.
a definite flaw. For me, um, this may be coming later, but for me, I got promoted to like I think it was Webtoon's new hot series page, something
Yeah.
like that, and I absolutely almost fainted.
Yeah, I
It was
remember.
like three. It was yeah, it was like 3 episodes in, and I remember being in a comic server, and I started crying. I I
It's
did.
okay.
Out of like happiness, of course. But I think mostly the reason was aside from being a romance, which it is very popular, not just in Webtoon, but in the comics industry. Like the comics industry to a lesser extent loves comics that start out really artistically beautiful,
Right.
and then right after you want to get the characters in
Yeah.
like soon after.
Yeah.
So it's okay. But like in my opinion, start your comic. Like I don't care what kind of art style you have, start your comic. Like I really advocate for like for basically people just working on something they love and releasing it out into the wild when it's cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which going a little bit off topic, I actually wanted to touch on something that you just said. So when I was taking a look at, a lot of your work, and I did see that, in your
Yeah.
older bits of work, you had these,
Mhm.
broad borders and very solid colors. It was still very nice, but comparing it to your work now, you're a lot more fluid with shape, fluid,
Yeah.
with color and backgrounds
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to say, like, when did you kind of
Absolutely.
start experimenting with this new style? Because it's very similar to that of like watercolor.
Yeah, I love watercolor, to be honest. I
Yeah,
can't do it traditionally, but I love the
I
vibe
know.
of it.
Me,
I
me
really
neither. I
do.
suck at
Like
paints as a whole.
watercolor is just out of my scope. It's just out of my scope. I can't do
Yeah.
it. But my older work, so there's a definite reason why I improved from like 2017 to 2018. And it's because I actually went to an art high school for a couple years.
Hmm.
And so if you've ever been to an if any of the viewers have been to an art high school, you kind of know that the visual arts portion of art high school is very gallery focused. Like it's very serious, no anime allowed at all. Um
This.
Cartoony stuff is okay,
Yeah.
but it's looked down
It's
upon.
so it's mainly this Western traditionalist scope
Yeah,
of what art should
absolutely.
be.
And like they there were I did love my experience, but I feel like artistically, while I did improve in a way, I think that right now, because I'm not in school right now, I improved a lot because it's more me.
Right.
Like it's more fluid, it's more fun. I'm like in my older works, I was having a medium amount of fun. Like, but mostly I really wanted to show it to other people and see, hey, I could draw this. I can do this. I'm a serious artist. And like that's okay for some people. I'm not saying it's not. But for me, I looked inside myself and I'm like, yo, what am I doing with my style? This is kind of exhausting. I would just paint everything and excruciating detail. And while yes, I still love those works, it just became a little bit like not boring, but a little bit monotonous for me because I made so many.
Right.
I was like, what am I gonna do from here? Because my painting was, for what it was pretty good. But I also know that I wanted to try something new, definitely. Um, and then I started thinking about Sweet Dreams
Right.
again, and I'm like, oh, yeah. So I started looking at like, yeah, you're gonna hate me for saying this, but I started looking at Homestuck again. So, um, Homestuck was one of my favorite things as a kid, and it really inspired me. But the art style is very like unique and cartoony, and it kind of has this soft, like rounded out vibe to it.
Mhm.
Aside from the like obvious sharp edges when it does have that. But I started looking at that again, and I was like, I don't need to make a comic or any piece of art that's like so much. It's so much effort. I don't need to be gallery ready. I don't need to be like X, Y, and Z to be a good artist. Like I will be okay. And from then on, I started getting like loosening up. I started getting like super fluid in my lines, and I started having fun. I started having a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah. So I definitely take inspiration from like watercolor, but also mixed media.
Hmm.
So some of it I attribute to oil painting, and I think that's really cool. And I don't regret my time in art school, but at the end of the day, I want to make art that I feel represents my personality rather than being super
Yeah.
serious. Because I'm not a serious person, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say at the momentum that you're at right now, it's
Yeah.
definitely showing because yeah, the first episode of Sweet Dreams actually it definitely does pull people in with how
Yeah.
how different that these panels kind of are, especially when it dives into Virid
Yeah.
when she's asleep in her subconscious
I
kind of.
love the
So,
kind of like dream elements. Oh, those are great. What I don't like about the
mhm.
the episode is that like I did this weird, ugly yellow lighting for some of it. It's good. It's just super bizarre for me right now. But that's gonna happen with any comic. I really am proud of the first episode, to be honest. I don't want to
Right.
downplay that. Like, I like it a lot. I
Yeah.
just think my newer work is always gonna be like a little bit more better.
And that leads me to a little quick follow-up question. How far do you think you could evolve your art style further down the line? Like, what are some things that you kind of want to touch on artistically wise?
Yeah. I want to touch on anatomy. Several panels. I make Vera's hands a little bit too big or her head a little bit too big.
Right.
I think I need to like rein that a little bit in a little bit. I think I like my backgrounds right now, but honestly, like in a panel, I used this is gonna sound terrible, but I used Clip Studio Paint's like sort of like locker 3D sculpture thingy that they had that I could trace over.
Uh-huh.
And like that honestly worked really well. And I'm not exactly ashamed of that. Just cuz like I really wanted there to be like more substantial perspective and stuff. And I think I won't overdo that, I don't think. But doing that once or twice in an episode, I think really makes it feel like more grounded. I just want a little bit more backgrounds.
Yeah.
Even if they're like abstracted, like sometimes the backgrounds are. Um, Yeah, I think those are the main two things that I really want to work on. And as a comics artist, it's really hard to do like I try to do at least two or three backgrounds an update.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, like two or three backgrounds that I work really hard on. And I want to pump that up to three or four
Hmm.
an update. Yeah.
So with the popularity of Sweet Dreams, I bet it's probably taking, more and more of your free time. So how has the new amounts of fans towards Sweet Dreams really impacted your plans for like the plot?
Yeah. So the plot, I honestly, that's the first time someone's asked me that. And I think that the plot of Sweet Dreams, it's always planned to be a smaller webtoon.
Hmm.
I'm not going to change that. Unless unless I just happen to think the pacing works better as a little bit of a larger one. But I'm aiming it for to be like a year long. I'm not aiming it
Right.
to be like a decade long, you know? And for me, it's just like the plot is what kind of works
Yeah.
best, to be honest. And while the popularity, I love all the comics. They're comments. They're amazing. But it kind of also, I guess, yeah. Okay, so one or two people make a little bit of suggestions slash comments like, "Oh, what if Virid's doing X because of Y?" And I'm like, "Wow, that's actually a really cool idea. I might just implement that." And it's little things. It's not like
Yeah.
big plot things, but the feedback does help, and the feedback truly like it really
Yeah.
makes my
It's so
brain
funny
work.
how like
You know?
you can make a story. You can think of all the metaphors, you can think of
Yeah,
all the double entendres and subtext.
yeah,
Once you put it out there, someone else is going to notice
definitely.
something that just works too well.
Yes, absolutely. And like for me, I take a strange approach to authorship too.
Mhm.
I treat myself as a reader that just happens to make the comic comic. So I fully for my comic, I kind of subscribe to death of the author. Unless it's like I actually did something inappropriate or wrong or like portrayed something badly, I don't know. But unless I did that, I kind of take a step back and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of like having my own theories. Like the word of the author, aka me, doesn't matter as much to me unless I'm
Right.
actually making the comic. So what that means is that if I say something on Twitter like Sif has ADHD, which she does,
Mhm.
which will be in the comic, but like when I say that on Twitter, it's not canon yet, but it
Yeah.
will be once it's in the comic.
Yeah.
So that's my approach because I hate the fucking J.K. Rowling approach of like X
I was just
character
going to
is
say.
Y, and I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Also, the other shit with fucking J.K. Rowling, I'm not even getting into that.
Yeah,
But
no, that's not for this
yeah,
episode. Don't worry about that,
yeah,
everybody.
yeah, definitely not on this episode,
Yeah.
not yet.
One thing I will touch on was that infamous you remember the infamous wizard like the bathroom tweet?
Oh no, I hate
No.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
why did you remind me? It's so bad. It's so bad. I hated that one. That was so bad. God.
Oh my god.
I thought that was fake for like several years.
I know, but
Yeah. I
it
think
was
that's
real, huh?
too
It was
yeah,
real.
I think that's too graphic to put on a podcast, to be honest.
Oh no. Well, I mean, on my previous episodes I've talked about worse.
Okay,
Believe me.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh, hang on, real quick side thing. What's your
yeah.
Potter house? What's your Hogwarts house?
Um, I am a Hufflepuff, very obviously.
That makes sense. That makes
Yeah, that does make
sense.
sense. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I'm Slytherin.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, back on the
Sorry, yeah.
yeah,
Back
that's
onto the
right.
topic.
No,
So again, with the amount of eyes that are,
yeah.
looking at Sweet Dreams and the numbers, they're going to keep growing.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now, I already asked you how does it affect the plot, but how does it affect your work ethic as an artist as a whole? because there's a
Yeah.
lot of demand now.
So, yeah, the first couple days after I blew up, and it was very sudden, I will say. It was very sudden. I had to just process it because I had like I knew I had like about 10 people interested in Street Dreams. The rest were interested, but they were like just casual. Like some people have been with me from like the beginning, from like years, and have seen me done this, and that's awesome. I love them. And I didn't expect to get many readers. I expected to work on it for like a year or so, and then kind of to get in popularity. Like I think that's a healthy expectation to have, to be honest.
Right.
That's not a bad thing at all. Um, but and when Webtoon featured me on the hot new series thing, it was on the front page on the app. I didn't really know how to react at first, other than like
Uh,
be so grateful because like I have no connections at Webtoon at all. I've
right.
never even talked to our original creator um
Right.
at that point. And the second day I thought it was only gonna be like a couple hours to a day. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is gonna calm down. This is I was so happy, but I like set my expectations accordingly, and I was like, okay, so they're probably gonna like feature me for a day, and that's okay. And then I was going to bed at like midnight, I don't know. And then my eyes snapped open, and I was like, wait, will it be for more than a day? Wait, what's gonna happen? And that was the first time I really thought, wait, if I hit 1,000 by the end of the month, what do I do? And then I was like, that's not happening. And calm your horses.
And
And
here we
like
are.
seriously, I had no I for real, I just did not have any expectations, and it still like baffles me how that happened. I think I was just like in the slush pile for a little bit, and then they were like, "Oh, this looks good. Let's put it on there." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." Um, and so for a few days, to get on back on topic, for like good 4 days, I was like just in shock. And really, really happy. I didn't do a lot of work though. Just because like I was responding to comments, I was crying on Twitter, um, and I wrote an email, a personal email to Webtoon, the like the help desk. I think
Yeah.
it was. And I was basically like, I'm the creator of Sweet Dreams. Thank you so much. I thank you. And they wrote back to me actually a couple hours ago, and they were like, "Keep doing what you're doing, yay!"
Oh,
And I'm
that's
like,
adorable.
"That's
That's
so
sweet.
sweet.
That
That
is
was
so
so
sweet.
sweet. That really warmed my heart." And so a week passed, and I'm like, "Okay." I think it was a week. Yeah, I'm like, "Okay, I'm off the freaking new series thing. Okay, that's okay." I was like at 7 or 600, and I'm like, I'm good. I will be okay. I can maintain this. And then I got another ad from the fucking comic server, the same one that gave me the first ad. They're great, by the way. And they're like, hey, you're like on another, like, you're on another up and coming portion of the site. And I'm like, no, you're joking. Because at first I thought they were lying both times. And I'm like, no. And no, they gave me the picture. They were like, look on the freaking app. I'm not lying. And
Yeah.
that lasted for like, I think it was another week. And near the end of it, I reached 1K, and I'm like, okay, okay. Yeah, it makes me flustered even now. I'm just like, oh wow, okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I've been going full steam ahead on Sweet Dreams for a while. So I think the sudden influx of people stopped that for a few days, but it's kind of hard to go more than full steam.
Yeah.
It hasn't discouraged me, but it's made me like more thinking about how people react and like happy and excited because more people are gonna see this. Yeah. But it's kind of hard. I'm a very like I need to draw every day kind of person,
Yeah.
which for most people I don't recommend, but for me it keeps me sane. Like it's my genuine like happy place, you know?
Yeah.
And Sweet Dreams, like it has everything I aesthetically love. So when I sit down to draw, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna draw? Oh, Sweet Dreams has pretty woman and like nice colors and texture and all of that. Why not do that? And I'm like, okay. So it's like fine, honestly, finding like my aesthetic that I love of coziness and just like the primary colors basically was really beneficial for me. I think so, yeah.
Right. So,
That was a long answer. Yeah.
yeah, no, you're all good. You're all good. So when it comes to, drawing every day, um,
Mm,
and with keeping up with the popularity, I'm
yeah.
sure you have to set yourself some deadlines
Oh
for
yeah.
when the next update should be. So, do you often get kind of overwhelmed with some of the workload that you want to get through, and then some that you feel like you kind of have to because the deadlines are there? Or do you think it's all kind of blended together somewhat nicely
Mhm.
because what you want to do is the comic?
Yeah, so I have a few things I'm doing, aka commissions, and I'm in a Zine, so that's fun. And I mean, it does get overwhelming at times, but I kind of like for me, it's just if I get overwhelmed, I stop doing things immediately. And I don't want to do that. So basically what I do is I take it one thing at a time. I don't like think about them all at once because that's bad for me. Um Getting overwhelmed is very frequent for me. I'm just gonna be honest. Like that's why I made Sweet Dreams a shorter comic, basically, because at first it was
Yeah,
gonna be like years, and now it's just a year because
right.
it's what I can handle. And I have like yes, I have a lot of projects, but I also have some confidence in myself sometimes, especially my artistic practice, because like with me and art, we're best buddies. We're like best friends. Sometimes. But it's like I love doing it and it's my escape, but I can't think about my all my projects too hard at once. And that's really hard to do. It took me years to understand, hey, take this shit one at a time. It'll be okay. Like, I'll take like a couple hours for Sweet Dreams, and then once I'm winding down, I'll do some work or something. And then in the
Hmm.
morning, I'll do some commission work. And by then, I'm like almost I'm like halfway through it. So,
Hmm.
but for me that's really easy to say cuz my job isn't that demanding and I'm going to school in the like spring. So, I have the time and resources right now is what I'm saying.
So elaborate real quick. What is design?
Oh, a zine. Okay, so sorry about that. So a zine slash zine, whatever way you say it, it's it's sort of an amalgamation of several artists. So there's a theme, and my theme is Stardew Valley. Um, Basically, all these artists come together and create something to do with like Stardew Valley, which I'm in the Stardew Valley zine. And every artist contributes like one artwork or one pin or whatever. And sometimes it's free online, sometimes it's like in a booklet, like a physical book, and I think it's really cool. Sometimes people sell them. It's really cool. But I kind of overreached with mine cuz I like did 47 characters in mine, so now I'm
Oh
like
my god.
it was all the Stardew Valley cast. Which, if you know about the game, that's like 30 characters. So yeah, it's a really cool way to make friends, maybe make a little bit of money. But it's just a really cool way to get something out there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about Stardew.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Sorry.
That's not pertinent.
So with all this other stuff you've been mentioning about
Yeah.
going on and on, can you elaborate a little bit on what the Kickstarter is supposed to be for Sweet Dreams?
Yes. So I for now with the Kickstarter, so I for now decided to not do the Kickstarter this month just because I was like, okay, I'm going through some personal family stuff. I really need like attention focused onto that. Plus I that was a good decision in the end because I got more commission work and I got like the zine to do. So that was a good decision. But so the Kickstarter for Sweet Dreams is interesting because I from the start I was like, okay, I want to make this physical. I want to make this a thing. I want to make this a book. Because I personally love when like webcomic creators make books. I think that's awesome. Get
Yeah.
your cash, get that the freaking stapled book. I love it. Um and and for me, it was like, okay, it was way in the past. It was like 2 months ago. It was like, okay, I don't have much of a following for Sweet Dreams. That's okay. And so what I did, I researched a lot while I was doing that, and I was like, okay, either I'm going to do this in serializations, which is basically like 30 pages at a time, which I don't know if I'm going to do that. Or I'm going to do this as one big book with like merch and all that. And I think that'd be really cool. For me, I I've been wanting to do a Kickstarter. I've been wanting to shoot the bullet for like so long, and I have to like hold myself back because A, I have a lot of work to do right now, but B,
Right.
um I think that it would just be more beneficial for everyone involved if I just like did it in one book type deal. And
Yeah.
Sweet Dreams is supposed to be like, I would say max 200 pages.
That's a pretty good size for a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I like smaller comics just because I have small attention span. I have a small brain.
Now, as a comic artist,
Uh-huh.
you had mentioned that you wanted to be a professional comic artist. Like, hey, how far back does that, kind of dream go?
Yeah.
What really got you into that?
Yeah. So the start, I did want to be a professional comic artist. My kind of like career has changed a little bit. And I'll talk a bit about that. So, Sweet Dreams for me is something that is so personal and is so like my escape from reality, you know? And when I try to do art like big projects for other people and like for careers or stuff like that, I end up burning out a lot because I don't have time for my art. So, I haven't talked about it too much online, so it's okay that you don't know. But for me, it's just like I want to keep art as a side, like as something that is truly important to me, but it's not my career. You understand?
Right.
And so I had this conversation with my dad, like a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "You don't have to go to art school. Like, you have other skills." And that was a big shock for me, just because, and this is unhealthy. I really base a lot of my worth on my art, and I think that's not great. And I am working on it, but I also think that when I tried to go to art school, because I did have to drop out, I think when I tried to go to art school, I very much crumbled, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term, be- because I was doing something, I was kind of, in a lack of a better term, perverting my own sense of self-worth for other people.
Right.
Like, that's a little bit convoluted, but it's the only way I can say it. So basically, whenever I tried to do art for other people, it felt bad.
Mhm.
That's the short of it. But I still want to do Sweet Dreams. I still love art. And I actually want to go into psychology as a degree. Yeah, that's a little bit tidbit about me.
Yeah.
Is that I I don't think being a hobbyist artist is bad. I don't think that at all.
Hmm.
I think it's a
It's really
wonderful
not.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
because
really
like
not.
yeah, because people on like some industry artists on Twitter are just like a little bit mean to hobbyist artists. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but sometimes it's a little bit like, okay, why do you think hobbyist artists are lesser? But whatever.
Yeah. No, no,
And
throw them under the bus. What's their at? What's their at?
I don't actually remember. It was a couple months ago, and it just stuck in my head,
Yeah.
What's their ad? Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but I could confide in that
yeah,
because I actually have a similar thing, but it's actually the exact opposite
yeah,
problem where I could easily, because for my, career aspirations, I want to be, a storyboard artist
yeah,
or something, somebody that just works the
mm,
background part of
yeah,
like
yeah.
creative development. So growing up and going to regular school,
Uh-huh.
it was so easy for me to make art for other people,
Yeah,
but it's been so hard to this day
yeah.
still to make work for myself.
That's crazy. That's really interesting. Yeah, because I felt the exact opposite. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like I think, it's a weird distinction because you're doing art that you love to do
Oh, yeah, no.
and it's kind of like you get to work on your own terms,
Yeah.
but it comes with this idea that like maybe you're out of touch with what the demand is for other
Yeah,
people.
definitely. I
And
completely understand that. And I think that with Sweet Dreams, I was a little bit I am a webtoon reader. So
mhm,
I was most familiar with webtoons. So I was like, okay,
yeah.
people like romances on there. Throws this at the audience. And it just kind of
Yeah,
hit. I mean, I didn't
you knocked it
really
out of the park.
what?
I said you knocked it out of the park.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, it was really some of it, a lot of it was luck. But I do think that I understand now that romances, sorry, I'm taking water. That
You're good.
romances are so popular. Just
Yeah.
like incredibly popular. Um especially queer romances, which I honestly did not expect. Just cuz like with webtoon I see a lot of straight
Yeah.
romances on like the front page. Wanted yeah.
This is the interesting because like, you know, uh touching back on this before I ask you, can pick
Yeah.
up on a lot of stuff. When it comes to my work ethic, I have a good distinction, at least I hope
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
because I still have yet to actually jump on
Yeah.
that pretty much. But I have a good sense of like what some people would probably like
Mhm.
and what kind of humor people would like or what kind of stories, people would need.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
so
there's a good amount of like content, and I will say this very, very politely, and this is with peace and love and absolute everything I can offer. Um, there's a lot of content for teen girls, which is a great thing, but more
right,
so for teen girls that are interested in BL. And I
right,
understand that. That's okay. You are freaking fine. But for me, it was sort of like I didn't know there was such an environment for this just cuz like I saw a lot of these BLs, the boys love comics, if you
right.
don't know. And I guess I'm like a normie, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm a normie. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that I kind of noticed that with the uprise
Mhm.
of lots of, I guess you could say queer
Yeah,
young adult fiction that have been going around,
definitely.
a la Steven Universe, She-Ra. What's that Crunchyroll show that's actually really bad but good in
The
representation kind of way? Oh, High Guardian Spice.
Yeah, I haven't watched that. I have no opinion.
Don't,
I
don't.
I
I've seen a bunch of
literally like.
clips.
Oh, damn.
Like the representation is
Yeah.
good every character. You get a little bit of representation
A
everywhere.
little bit of a little bit of
It's just the you get a little bit of everything.
yeah.
Everything's a little bit there, but
I think there can be
it's
representation
just
in something and it can be good.
yeah.
Like it can be a good
That's
piece
the
of media.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing with High Guardian Spice. There's a
Yeah.
lot of representation, but God, it's such a bad show.
Yeah, yeah.
Line delivery, and
Yeah.
sometimes the character design, the animation as a whole is
Oh
it
wow.
looks very corporate, kind of very
Oh yeah.
corporate, kind of lifeless.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
actually touching on what you said, Sweet Dreams is actually very very much inspired by Steven Universe's not plot, but the vibe. Like the kind of like soft, quiet
Very
moments.
soft
Yeah.
pastel,
Yeah,
very
definitely.
fluid. Yeah,
Um
I could pick
yeah.
up on that.
Yeah. Like I cut out all of the action scenes and basically took that vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little instrumental that plays during every title card essentially
Yeah, yeah,
is what that
definitely.
vibe is.
Definitely.
So
Mm,
what I was trying to get at was that with all these new rises in this
mhm.
young adult fiction with queer casts is that there's definitely an audience now more than there's
Yeah,
ever been.
yeah,
And to break into that in terms of because all of it so far has just been through
yeah.
animation and feature film. So to break in with that, with this new wave of new entries with web
Mhm.
comics and comic
Yeah.
strips and social media personalities, I could definitely say that there was definitely an audience for it, and you just hit it at the right
Yeah,
time with the right
definitely.
art.
I absolutely do.
Now, as a
I
question for this,
also Oh, sorry.
sorry. Now, as a question, real quick.
Yeah.
Now, as an artist and as somebody who's a part of this new wave,
Yeah.
do you think that this specific part of the industry is starting to get a little oversaturated?
Um, the queer content of graphic novels or queer animation?
I would say more so on the lines of just like romance and just
Yeah.
young adult fiction.
Oh, romance and young adult fiction, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I thought you meant queer content, and I'm like,
Yeah, I
oh,
was. I would. No, yeah, no, no.
that's a
I
little
probably
bit.
should. I probably should have phrased that a little
It's
better
like,
because
whoa.
because I wrote out the question to say young adult fiction, but I was like, well, maybe I should have.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think romance is very oversaturated, but I also think that you kind of have to pick your battles. Like nothing is wholly original, but you can make it unique. Like there's such a difference. Um
Right.
I feel like striving to be original in like a young adult romance is just a futile effort. Like it is very saturated and that's sometimes not great.
Yeah.
But there is amazing works of fiction and amazing works of romance in that genre still being made. And
Yeah.
I feel like being oversaturated shouldn't really deter anyone. I think if you
Right.
can make a good story, you can make a good story. And for me, I think so I looked at a lot of the styles on Webtoon that were popular and the artistic styles, I mean. And I think I like the anime style sometimes, but it was a little bit like, okay, I want something that reflects me, like reflects my like fluidness, reflects like what we were talking about earlier. And it was like I'm not even gonna lie, it was a little bit like there's a precedent for it in Lore Olympus with the texture thing. Um, Lore Olympus isn't my thing, but we won't touch on that. But yeah, so I basically was like, okay, I think there could be something new here. And that basically drove me to post it on the site. Like, I think there was one aspect that was new, and I think that really resonated well. I don't think
Yeah.
you have to have everything new. Um,
Yeah.
New-ish. I mean, unique,
Yeah, I bring up the question because it's just, spikes in
Yeah.
popularity come in with something that is super high quality,
Yeah.
really just knocks it right out of the park. Like right now, you see it a lot in movies when it
Mhm.
comes to superhero
Oh,
movies.
yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, for the past decade, ever since, Iron Man and especially the Avengers really kicked off, it's
Yeah.
just been, well, just the MCU as a whole. And
Mhm.
then you have one-off films and
Yeah.
spin-offs of DC films and
Like
obscure.
WandaVision.
Yeah, pretty much what
Yeah.
Disney Plus is doing to the MCU is so convoluted that I would say that side is oversaturated.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
definitely. I
yeah,
think
unless you're
that
like a deep fan.
I think that it's a I think that it's a type of superhero movie that's being oversaturated, though.
What
I
would you
don't
say?
think like I don't think WandaVision is an oversaturated genre at all. That's like
Oh,
experimental and like weird. And at the end, it wasn't my favorite, but God, it threw you in there, gave you no context. That's
oh
awesome.
yeah, because it was very different.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah,
very different.
that,
And I think that if they do sorry, if they do stuff more like that, then it could become less blatantly oversaturated because I feel like there's a Marvel formula
yeah,
that you kind of catch on to, and I feel like WandaVision really broke that in my opinion. I'm
yeah.
not the most avid watcher.
I guess when it comes to like my issue
Yeah,
when something is oversaturated is that
you see it so much.
oh, yeah, is that it's more so that of course there's always going to be some diamonds in the rough,
Yes.
or when stuff gets very creative and expressive, or it's just plain good with all the
Yeah,
stuff that it's working with, but it's surrounded by so many things that are creatively kind of mid-tier or
I
sometimes
definitely
outright
understand.
bad.
I understand
So
completely.
that's why I get kind of, well, this is me personally. I'm
Yeah.
sure you or nobody else would probably think about this, but this is why I kind of am a little bit judgmental when not in terms of like me not liking something, because
Yeah.
if I think I'll like it, I will definitely watch it, read it no matter what, and give
Yeah.
my own opinion on it. But it makes me kind of hesitant to get into something because when
Yeah.
something spikes in popularity, that's
Yeah.
just kind of what happens.
Yeah,
It's
and
some
yeah.
good diamonds in the rough, but a
Yeah.
majority of it could be kind of,
And
mid tier.
I
And
do
real quick.
yeah.
This is not, for anybody who's listening, this is not me telling you to not do something because
Yes.
it's popular. I'm
Yeah.
sure that your
Totally not.
works will, you know, hit somebody's
Mm,
creative hunger to want to read something that you will definitely put out with. I'm
definitely.
just,
I
yeah,
get the
don't be
vibe
afraid to
that
make it.
you're not, like, discouraging anyone. Yeah, I
Yeah, no,
totally
I definitely don't want to, because everybody's an artist, everybody's on their own pace.
yeah,
Even if you personally think it might be kind of, mid-tier compared to some of the other people that are releasing something in terms of popularity, just do it
yeah,
because it'll be a thrill.
and, like, I don't think there needs to be a fear of mediocrity because I feel like mediocrity can sometimes be practice. It
Yeah.
can, like, practice like, you don't have to make your first story be amazing. I feel like so many people get caught up in this fantasy epic or this tragedy romance or, like, this just huge story for their first ever story they're writing down, and I'm like, "Okay, you can totally do that." But I also think maybe making some, like, not mid-tier exactly, but like smaller stories that maybe
Yeah.
don't have all of your energy in them that you can do on the side. Like I think mediocrity sometimes is okay. Um
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but not from like companies. I do not
Oh yeah. When it
I
comes to companies that have
Disney, I do
big
not give
teams
a shit.
and big money, oh my God.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you have enough money and resources as Disney, I mean, I expect you to bang it out of the park.
Yeah, what was that it's so funny when it comes to like game series as a whole, or like movie production companies, they have a solid couple years where they just knock it out of the park.
Oh yeah,
And then for some reason, it's just like a sea of mediocrity and then a diamond in the rough every
yeah.
now and again.
Oh, definitely. I
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes true of artists too. Like,
Hmm.
sometimes you just gotta like make a lot of shit to make like one really good thing. And I think
Yeah.
that's okay from like a person, but from a business standpoint, that is not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, please, everybody who's listening, take that into account. You are not a
yeah,
multi-billion-dollar
definitely.
corporation. You are you. Just
I hope
fucking
you're
do
not.
it.
I hope so. I hope Disney isn't watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I guess that would it's because I touched on it because that's kind of my fear of
yeah.
mediocrity. Because I touched on it a little bit before how I make art so easily for other
Mhm.
people. But when it comes to me and my input, like I have a lot of stories that I want to tell,
Yes,
multiple
definitely.
web comics that I want to do. Uh, multiple web comics. I want to make a ton of animatics
Mhm.
on YouTube. I'm in the process of like making one, but
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's going very slow.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that was
animatics
my
usually do.
yeah. So this is like that was kind of it still is sort of I'm trying to get over it. My fear
Yeah.
of when I make something if it's even slightly personal in what I want to do, I fear it's going to be mediocre. So
Yeah.
it makes me want to fine tune it more.
It's okay. Someone is going to think your story is mediocre, and that is okay.
Yeah.
Like, I needed to hear that so badly at the start of my creative journey. Like, people are going to have several opinions, millions opinions about your work. Like, hopefully, I mean, hopefully, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully for my work, I'll have thousands or millions or whatever. But people are going to think things about your work that maybe you didn't intend or you don't even like, but that is okay.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely part of the journey. And that's honestly part of the fun sometimes. And I don't
Yeah.
think that restricting yourself because of audience the fear of your audience or the fear of mediocrity of yourself is going to like help you. I That's a little bit
Right.
harsh, sorry about that, but I sorry, I didn't mean that to come out
No,
that
you're
way.
good.
Because I think that just being kinder to yourself, like, just, like, be nice to your story, let it grow, like, water it daily, like or weekly, whatever. Um,
Yeah. You're on
like,
pace.
as long as you're working on it, it's going to be good. Like, honestly, some people everything is subjective except science. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Um,
So
like,
science has been studied for hundreds of years to be
yeah,
based in fact.
like everything the moon is XYZ away from the earth. That is like objective. But your story being good or not? Oh my god, that is so subjective. You do not even know. Like,
Yeah.
and it's all based that's why I think of myself as a reader because I love my story, so I keep creating it to consume it.
Right.
I just get so passionate about this. Yeah.
And for everyone who's listening, yes, I know you probably will like High Guardian Spice. Make your own opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah. I
apologizing
don't
though.
know. I've never watched it. I have a limited amount of time to watch things, so
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of things that, really take away about it. Like one thing I will
yeah.
say, the backgrounds are pretty.
Yeah. And like honestly, sometimes you gotta watch things you hate because then you're like, oh, that theme sucks.
That thing
Why
sucks.
not well yeah, why not make it better?
Yeah, like that seems cool, but let me not do it that way.
Yeah, the execution, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. It's just funny to think about that. Now, tell me this.
Mhm.
Um, what would you say is your kind of end goal in terms of career and your end goal for you kind of personally to
Yeah.
grow as an artist?
Yeah, so I want for a career, I do want to, first of all, go to college, probably get a master's, just because I want to be a therapist. I really want to help people.
Hmm.
I'm very passionate about self-growth and like how people work. And obviously, I mean, I've been absolutely screaming at you for the last like an hour. But and artistically, I really, really, really want to make things that I am the viewer that I would love. Like, I am a viewer, but I am the creator, and I love it as both of those entities.
Right.
And what was the third question again?
No, that was really it. It was just in terms
Okay.
of a career, and then your, terms of as an artist.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I want to make things I love. I want to work hard on things, but I also want to help people in my day-to-day life and like make a living from that. So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, well, that's actually a really good. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a really good, goals to really set your sights on.
Like
Um,
it's manageable, but like it's not something that's going to be easy to be honest.
yeah, yeah. Of course, it's still gonna take a lot of work.
Mhm.
Now, with you being a hobbyist artist,
Yeah.
have you really considered becoming like sort of a personality in terms of other forms of content creation? Like, I know you mentioned something about streaming on Twitch.
Yeah, I streaming on Twitch. Twitch is kind of like the platform that you bring your other
You bring your
that
other stuff too.
you bring your other stuff too. And while I would love that, it's just I get really tired quickly. I have a burst of energy at the start of a conversation, and then like 3 hours in I'm like, "All right, I'm out." And um
Yeah,
I think for me, it's just I would really have to think about it because Webtoon, and I do see Webtoon as a social media,
oh yeah,
and a web content platform,
yeah.
definitely, definitely.
If it
Um,
has a comment section,
Webtoon is,
it kind of
yeah,
qualifies.
yeah, definitely. Um, and I think Twitter and Webtoon are my main deals right now, just because like I can express myself artistically, but I also like can speak. Like I
Yeah,
love to talk. I get really like I know it doesn't look like it, but when no one's in like a chat room or something, I get very shy.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
I've done a handful of Twitch streams myself, and I
yeah.
definitely want to do more. For
Yeah.
everybody who's listening, I
Yeah.
definitely will start streaming again. I'm at a weird point right now. I'm working a lot, and I'm gonna be moving. I'm gonna be moving to my dorm in January, so
Oh yeah.
maybe I could squeeze some in here.
Yeah, like I really want to get like my own PC. This is like a far off goal, but I really want to get my own
Yeah.
PC and do like some streaming, become
Hmm.
like a gamer. But that's really far off just because I have a lot on my plate right now and games take a shit ton of time. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I feel it from the
Yeah.
some Twitch streams that I have, which average about like what 2-3 viewers.
Yeah.
There's not many people in the chat room, so
Mhm.
it's kind of hard starting
Especially with
out.
art streams.
Or
Those are brutal.
those are art streams. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Those are so hard to do.
I yeah you how we touched upon me being a fear of mediocre for
Yeah.
doing a finished product. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh,
Trying
yeah.
to do art in the middle of a live stream?
Oh,
Jesus Christ. That's
so
a fear I have
hard
to conquer for
because you
sure.
constantly have to look at the chat, and if someone says something, you're like, "Oh my god, yes."
It's like, oh
So
god.
that's
Oh
cool.
god.
And then one live stream, I did have a lot of convos, and that was really cool, and I really liked it, but I get to do them sparingly because a lot of my projects are a little bit under a casual NDA that I
Mhm.
self-impose because like commission work or Sweet Dreams next episode, and like I don't really have the time to do a lot of like work outside of that because I have a fair amount of projects.
Yeah.
But I do really want to have the energy for that. Like it's
Yeah.
constantly in my mind.
Yeah. So, bringing this
Yeah.
all the way back to the matter of sweet dreams. One of the core questions I actually wanted to ask, but I simply just lost my train of thought too, because that's fine.
Uh,
Um, what were the core inspirations of Sweet Dreams as a
Ooh.
whole? I know you mentioned Steven Universe and that aesthetic coming along with it, but what were some other things? And I swear to
Well,
God, I think you're gonna say Homestuck.
listen, listen. I I I listened. Okay. So I like okay. So Steven Universe for one, I like pieces of media that are kind of a first draft, so I can like fix them, I guess. I can fix her. I can fix her. I like that I can make fluffy AUs out of, that I can fix the storylines, that I can think about, that I can make fan works about, that I don't have to put this in that. Like I am the author. I'm the mini author of Homestuck. I swear to God, I am
Yeah,
my own author. That's how I kind of see it. And like with works of fiction, I try. You're always gonna try to make sure your story is like good. But for
yeah,
me, I want my story to be kind of amalgamation of things I saw that I liked in let's say like She-Ra was a little bit of an inspiration because of the princess elements, the colors. But there's no princess elements in Sweet Dreams, but it's kind of like aesthetic.
yeah,
But like I wanted to take some of the flaws like from that, aka um I feel like Katra and Adora's relationship at the end was very rushed. So I
yeah,
wanted to make a romance that was basically like taking its goddamn time and
yeah,
just basically paced well, and it just fixes the problems, and
yeah.
it's
Because
it's yeah.
that's literally the definition of enemies to friends to lovers.
Yes.
That's an evolution that
Yes.
literally
No.
takes time.
Definitely. And I took it from that because I'm like, this feels like a split second she went from like genocide to nah. And I'm like, okay. And while I don't want it to be that extreme because I think Patra was a little bit extremes at points in the earlier seasons. In like her treatment of Adora. I think later on it got a little bit better. I haven't watched it in a little bit, but that's just my opinion. I think it's a nice ship though. I just please don't come for me. Um so I took that. I also took a lot of like thematical. None of these are romance. If you like search hard enough, you can find it in there. But none of these are mainly romance. I because like for me, it's just I wanted a queer story about romance because I find character studies very appealing. Yeah, that's basically it. And with Steven Universe, I took a lot of the like accountability that was just not there. So the diamonds, which listen, man, I don't want
Oh
to spend
God.
the entire episode talking about the diamonds from Steven Universe, but if you know, you know.
But
Yeah,
don't be afraid to go on a tangent
yeah,
because on one of the episodes I talked
okay,
with my good friend of mine, Domino's Pizza, he's a Twitch
okay.
streamer. We talked about Call of Duty for like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
So don't
but
be afraid to go on a
yeah.
tangent.
So with the diamonds, it was like there was no accountability. Sorry. There was basically like there was no punishment for any of the crimes. And while neither of my characters have committed war crimes, spoiler, um it's like I feel like the repercussions of someone's actions, either good, bad, morally gray, they affect people. Like
Yeah.
it's not just like, oh, I forgive you, or oh, that was cool. It was that you affected me deeply, and I have to think about that for a while. Like, yeah, and with Homestuck, Homestuck is so is probably the worst out of these three, and probably the odd man out. Because Homestuck like first of all, I took a little bit of inspiration from the style later on, just because it was to me it was appealing because it was very cartoony. And what I didn't like was that a lot of the plot threads were like just dropped sometimes, and a lot of the visual effects and a lot of the cool ideas were just not executed correctly, or like, well, I would say, like, subjectivity, blah blah blah.
Right.
And it's just, for me, I really wanted to fix problems. Like, I'm the kind of person that just loves to see problems in things and talk about them very passionately, and
Right.
then be like, okay, what am I gonna do about it? Like, I figured out a problem, great. What's the next step? So the next step was Sweet Dreams.
Yeah. And with fixing Sweet Dreams and through
Yeah,
all the revisions it's gone through, have
yeah.
you noticed any sort of evolution with how you want to tell a story?
Yes, definitely, definitely. So, Sweet Dreams went like, oh my god. So, first of all, learn the 3-act structure, my god. Please. Don't just start your comic and not know what the 3-act structure is. Oh god, please. Because at first I didn't. And basically, what happened was I started the comic and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Like 2, 3 updates in, I'm gonna like, I don't know what to do. And basically I have more of a plan. I scripted out some specific scenes, like a lot of them. And while I loosely follow that more, I know more what I'm doing. Like, it just comes with practice. Like,
Yeah.
it's not it's not rocket science, but also it's like it's pretty hard to like make a story that you think, like, not surpasses, because I wouldn't say that. Um, but stands up like to the chest of your favorite works, like,
Yeah.
in your opinion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think that because I got so many inspirations from the problems of my favorite comics or animated shows, I think that makes my writing a little bit tighter, just because, like, I see problems more easily and more critically than I did when I started out on Sweet Dreams.
Right.
So I think that's a really good skill to have. Just like, analyze your favorite media. You have a favorite media, I promise you. Analyze it, find the problems. It's okay. You're going to be okay, first of all. And then think about them for a couple days. Like, just think, how can I fix this? Oh, wait, that's a cool like idea. Maybe I should write something down about that, you know?
Yeah. I definitely feel it.
Yeah, definitely.
And to wrap up the interview part of this
Yeah.
episode, do you have any last minute advice to
Yeah.
anybody who's trying to start up their own webcomic? Something
Please
that you haven't
script.
said already.
Please script. Okay, no. um like, okay, but more detailed. Script your actual panels. Find like a way to do that, because that will save your ass. Script for at least a month. That's what I did. I scripted for a whole month. I didn't do any art. I was basically like, all right, sitting down, we're writing. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of diligence, but you gotta do it. Just please. It will save you. Also have an outline. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
line.
definitely have an outline. Have an end. Oh my god, have an end.
Oh, there we go. When I was trying to look for guests on Instagram, I was trying to message around. Um, I got contacted by like this scummy advertisement. Like I was supposed to do a sponsorship on the episode.
Damn.
I was supposed to, and it was like, you ever heard of the company Manscaped?
Oh yeah,
Like
I've
body
heard of
group.
them.
Well, it wasn't by Manscaped, but
Oh
it was
yeah.
a company that was similar to it. It was just male body grooming. It was just a smaller startup, and I think they were like from a foreign country because they
Yeah.
didn't really speak English
Yeah.
too well. And they tried to contact me and was like, "Hey, can you do a sponsored post and we'll post it on our Instagram and you will get a percentage or something like that based
Yeah.
on like your order." And I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I'm a podcast, so can I just do like a sponsored minute
Yeah.
ad on on the episode?" And
Yeah.
they never contacted me again.
Damn, that's weird.
It was really weird because I had like just a couple questions about like, okay, well, how long should it be? Or, what should I say? And can I do it on my podcast? And they would reply to like one of my questions.
Yeah.
And I would say, oh, okay, that's cool. Can I do it on my podcast? And then they
Yeah.
never answered. It's dumb. I don't
Damn.
like Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like Instagram either. I sort of
Yeah.
got off of it just because like it's really hard to do the algorithm there and it's stressful and I don't I'm very pea brained. I can't I'm too sensitive for it.
Yeah. Okay. So, of course, it's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
It's been, well, at this point, almost 2 years. Oh, shit, it has been 2 years.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. All right, so it's been a crazy 2 years, everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, COVID has been on a thing. There's a new variant that just got located in California. So I got to watch my step.
I heard at
And
Anime NYC there was the new variant was
it was found there too,
yeah, that's crazy. I was
just
really
this morning.
yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've had a crazy year. Lockdown has changed so many aspects of our lives. And James, you've mentioned that, the lockdown has actually kind of sped up your art process.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I had a lot of time to just sit down and draw. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like I'm not even gonna lie, if I could just sit down and draw my own thing for the rest of my life and just like talk to people, of course, but like have a life outside of like money, I would do it. I would totally do it. But yeah. So yeah, it basically sped it up because I just had so much time. I really
Yeah.
did. And I didn't really know what to do with it other than play video games and draw. So I drew so much that my style like rapidly changed, I believe. Like it
Mhm.
became a second nature to like doing this style currently. And I truly think that like it wasn't a blessing, no, but I think personally it was good for me to introspect and just like figure out what I want to do with my life and also my art.
Yeah. Yeah. It was somewhat the same thing with me too. I during the lockdown, I tried um well, because when it comes to making art, I had taken an extended break essentially because I
Mhm.
was trying to focus on other matters of school and work, especially as soon as the lockdown kind of happened. Because
Yeah.
my family, they didn't have work, so I had to
Mhm.
I had to get up, and I was I was of age. I was already
Yeah.
18 at the time. So, um, when I finally got enough money, I tried to get back into art and just
Mhm.
doing it paper, pencil, ink. It didn't really work for me anymore because I had limited color and I wanted to start to experiment a little bit.
Definitely.
So I got my first drawing tablet and I
Ooh.
started drawing a lot. It was great. It was
Yeah,
actually really
definitely.
great. And I've progressed so much so
Well,
far in the last like year of just working.
definitely. Like it
Yeah.
is so I know this is a very like good position. I wouldn't say privilege since we're in a pandemic, but it's a very good position to have when you improve so much in such circumstance because a lot of artists are very like I had burnout, I couldn't do anything, and I think if that what if with that happened to me, I just art is like the thing that keeps me sane, dude. I wouldn't
Yeah.
know how to act.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for me, the reason why I took the break was just like really, depression. I
Yeah,
lost a lot of motivation for a lot of things, and art
definitely.
was one thing that I loved my entire life, and it
Yeah.
hurt,
Yeah,
to
it
like
hurts.
start. Yeah, it hurts to lose motivation.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah, and
I
mhm.
actually have bipolar. So I get in these like weeks where I'm actually really stable right now, just because
Yeah,
like I basically figured out what I wanted to do with my life and got my meds right. Like I'm
mm,
good.
yeah,
But I used to get into these manic episodes that I would do so much freaking art on, and then I would get it suddenly one day. It was like a switch. I would be very depressed.
mhm,
And I wouldn't get up from bed. And it was hard to really acknowledge that I had these episodes because
mhm.
when you're manic, you don't really know that you're manic and you won't listen to anyone when you're manic. Um,
Right.
so the people in my life, aka my dad and my mom and my friends, were just like, "Hey, are you all right? Like you're taking on so many like a ridiculous amount of work. Like you
Yeah,
right now is like a good stopping point like for my workload, but it was like a ridiculous amount of work. And
yeah,
I think that it didn't calm down in quarantine, but recently while quarantine is like obviously still going on,
mhm,
it's like it's calmed down and I think that my mental health um it's hard to say if it struggled because of the pandemic because it's just like it's been everywhere. Like
yeah,
the last 2 years, like it was hard, yes, but I don't know if I could say the pandemic specifically made it like aggravated, you know? Cuz like
yeah,
it's like that's just a part of my life then,
mhm.
you know?
It's just something you deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, when it came to like, my depression, it was, it was like, thoughts would kind of just
Yeah, definitely.
bunker down, it would bunker down and it would
Definitely.
lead me to kind of procrastinate away from doing anything productive art wise because it's
Yeah.
my career. It's the most important thing I should be productive on.
Oh yeah.
So,
Like
and
yeah.
with the lockdown, it was perfect for those thoughts to hunker down and just say, "Oh,
Mhm.
well, you got to work instead.
Mhm.
You got to be productive elsewhere to make up for the fact you're not doing art." And
Yeah, yeah. And
and
like I
some,
feel like
yeah,
productivity is just such a sham. It's such a sham. It's
yeah,
fucking it's terrible. And it's like it's such a modern invention to be so productive so much. Cuz I know we have
yeah,
technology and that stuff and I know it makes it easier, but god damn, it is not like healthy to be productive all the time. I really think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for everybody who's listening, just I know everybody's in tough circumstances, but
Yeah, yeah.
don't let it get too tough.
Yeah,
Don't let it
definitely.
get too tough. Find your own pace and definitely chip away at it. Chip away
Yeah,
at what you want to
push
do.
yourself.
Yeah, and that's anything when it comes to art, writing, animation,
Yeah.
even stuff like voice acting as a
Uh-huh.
whole.
Mhm.
Work on stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say to lighten up the mood
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot. Spotify just came out with their yearly Wrapped. If you guys don't listen to Spotify, it's a little, how would you describe it? Like a PowerPoint presentation. It's a PowerPoint presentation that it's like a showcase of all the music and artists that you've streamed a lot this year. And every year they get worse and worse with their little trying to get caught up on
A little.
slang.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. They mentioned NFTs for some reason. I'm like, "Girl, what?
They
Why are you?"
did. At least it wasn't like in
Yeah.
support. They just said it
Yeah.
was a thing.
They were just like, "What are these?" And I'm like, "Honestly."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, but that's for in a little bit. But so I first of all, I listened to 31,742 minutes. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
which is
how much
how
is
many
it?
hours? It's how many hours? Was it like 200? 200 hours or 100?
I have no idea. 1 second.
I have
Minute.
no idea. I listened to 51,738 minutes. So I used to listen. I used to listen to. I used to work at a Cinnabon. I used to
Oh
do the
wow.
opening shift. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I would be alone for about
Yeah.
3 hours. So I
So
remember I would be
mine
putting
was
on.
sorry.
Sorry.
Mine was
I used to put on music and I used to listen to podcasts during my opening shifts. It was
yeah.
pretty cool. I think that I got most of the minutes. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you were going.
Yeah. So mine was 529 hours. Um, I don't know what yours was though.
It
Hours.
was just put 51,800 minutes. Just rounding it up.
800. So 863.3333 hours. So
Damn,
that's a
800
lot.
hours. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's like over a month.
So
Over a month of just straight up listening to music.
yeah.
Who are your
So
top five artists? Who are your top five artists?
five top five artists. 1 second. It told me later. Okay. Rex Orange County. Sorry.
Oh, I
Toby
was about to.
Fox.
Oh, I was about to get on you. I was about to get on
Sorry.
you. Rex Orange Country.
Sorry. Sorry.
Sorry. So Rex Orange County. Toby
Hosier is like
Fox.
the third. Yeah, Toby Fox. He's Undertale. He's Undertale.
Toby Fox Undertale.
Oh, Toby Fox Undertale. That's who he is. Yeah, I he has been on my top 5 artists for the last 3 years, actually, ever since I got Spotify.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm a dedicated fan. Get on this level. I am a dedicated fan. Oh, shit, I forgot. Undertale is a huge inspiration for Sweet Dreams, but no notes. It's
Oh.
awesome. No notes. Awesome. It's no complaints. Anyways. Then there's four Mother. Don't say a word. It's good. It's sometimes good. It's just let me have this.
Sometimes good.
It's at times very good. I think sometimes it can be too edgy. I really do. But yeah, I it's kind of hard to say it's sometimes good with when it's number 4 on my top artists. So, um,
With
so my number
30,000
5
minutes
is
listened to.
yeah. My number 5 is Glass Animals, which is honestly a pretty good lineup. Like I'm not
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So you're definitely more of
what
a
is yours?
what's the top genre? What's the top genre of
Um,
yours?
indie pop.
Indie pop. Yeah.
Indie pop, yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah, I'm not really into pop that much.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a soft spot for it. I do have a soft spot
Yeah.
for it, but
Weird choice.
it's one of my least listened to genres pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
My top five are MF Doom, who's a
Okay.
rapper, uh, who is such a creative genius,
Yeah.
who sadly passed away last year. You know, R.I.P. Doom.
Yeah, I'll write
Um,
that down. MF June.
yeah. So MF Doom, the appeal of MF Doom is that he takes on a persona.
Yeah.
He takes on well, firstly, because his entire persona, MF Doom, is a supervillain.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so he's like the super villain of the rap game,
I like
and
that.
he actually has a couple spin-off artists, or sorry, spin-off personas
Ooh.
who have released separate albums. One of which is Godzilla.
I think I've heard of that actually, yes.
Yeah, well, there's a monster in the Godzilla universe from Japan called King
Mhm.
Ghidorah, and it's like this three-headed dragon that flies and
Oh, you mean
shoots
Godzilla as
lightning.
in the pop culture icon? Yes, I do know
Yes.
Godzilla. I thought you meant like an album, and I'm like, I
No,
think I know of
no.
an album called
Well,
Godzilla.
yeah,
I
no, but it's not
for a
Godzilla
second.
the album. It's King
Yeah.
Ghidorah the
Okay.
rapper.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
yeah,
Fair.
King
Fair.
Ghidorah is the rapper. So
Uh-huh.
there is an album where he kind of takes more of the production because he's a producer as
Yeah.
well. So the huge collaboration album is by this mythical monster, King Ghidorah. It's so good. That's one of my favorite
I'll
albums
make
of
sure
all
to check it
time.
out. Wow.
But
Who's
yeah,
your
MF Doom as
other
a
one?
whole. So I have the second one is Tyler the Creator, who
Oh
I
yeah, I've
love.
actually really heard of him. Like he's everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially with this new album, Call Me If You Get Lost this year. It's so good.
Yes.
I love that album. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is Mad Villain, which is actually MF Doom with the producer Madlib. It's their
Doom
collaboration.
times two.
Huh?
MF Doom times two.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
so funny too because Mad Villain has only released one album.
Oh
So
my god.
that one album has conquered
Oh my god.
2 of my top songs and number 3 on my top
Oh
artists.
my god. That's so funny.
It's so funny. Number 4 is Kanye West. I know he's a bit of a figure. I
He's,
know he's a really big figure right now,
I don't
and
know.
he
He's
says,
just his vibe is just bad. Sorry. I bet
"Yeah."
his music is good. I bet his music is good, but it's just what I like his vibes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's because he comes with a little bit of a thing because Kanye's been through a lot in the last couple years, especially in celebrity limelight, losing his mom and
Oh geez.
going through a lot of religious, troubles, and his
Oh yeah.
family, of course, on and off with Kim, and it's all spilled out in the media. So
Yeah,
I will say
yeah,
that
like
yeah,
yeah,
I would say that there was a giant shift
yeah,
in his music taste, and he's hitting it kind of okay right now. But
yeah,
his first couple albums, absolute classics.
yeah. So I don't know a lot about celebrities, I will say that. It's just I know the memes
Yeah.
and that's it. So I'm sorry if I said
like
something
how
wrong.
like like how everybody's dating Pete Davidson right now.
My God, yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Everyone's dating Pete Davidson, including you.
Yeah. Yeah, even me.
Yeah.
And the last one is Earl Sweatshirt, who was in a collective with Tyler the Creator, Odd Future, back when they were first, up and coming. And I love him. I hope he's doing so well in life.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think he has a son. I'm pretty sure he has a son. I really hope his son's growing up good. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if sure as probably you could tell already, I am a massive hip hop head. I love
Yeah.
rap music.
Yeah. For me, it's just like oh, well, first of all, so my top genres is one indie pop, but I respect all music. Like I think all
Oh yeah.
music can vibe. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
don't want to be a person that's like I like all music, but I respect it. Like I don't want to I don't want to downplay someone's success because they're a fucking hip hop or like a pop star. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could just yeah. Definitely, and I do want to have more music in my life. My first Spotify Wrapped was atrocious. It had fucking it was atrocious. It had Panic at the Disco on it. And this was
Oh boy.
2019. It was bad. It was this
Didn't they
old
release an album around that
song,
time?
please.
Didn't
Yes,
they? Yeah, there we
exactly.
go.
Exactly. I don't, and I actually crossed it out on social media, and I've never told anyone until now.
It's like
I'm
you
dead
use the
serious.
it's like you use the Snapchat like the color drop and you kind of erased
Yes,
it. It's like why do you only have
I
four
did.
artists? Why do you only have
No,
four artists on your
I
Spotify
just
Wrapped?
I made it a meme, and I'm like, yeah, my taste is so great. And then I just blacked out in black Sharpie the Panic at the Disco one, and everyone was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm telling y'all." No, it was like
Oh yeah,
number
mine
3 or 4.
glitched.
It glitched. Oh
Yeah.
god, it was so bad. And then number 2 for top genres is modern rock. I think that's
Uh-huh.
Mother Mother. Like some of the songs for those, but I
Right.
could be wrong. Like I honestly didn't expect that. Um, and 3 is dance pop, another pop on there. 4 is a
Yeah.
little bit weird. It's weird core, which I didn't know
Weird
existed.
core?
Weird core. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
even joking. I
Yeah.
mean, Okay. Number 5 is emo. What? This is the most
Emo?
weird. Yes, it's the weirdest mix-up.
Yeah, emo's like Pierce the
Really.
Veil and
Yes,
actually I would say early Panic at the Disco probably was
yes,
definitely emo.
definitely.
Like Welcome to the Black Parade.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And my
Yeah.
aura was yearning and chill, which is how I describe my comic. It was
uh
very like pinkish greenish.
yeah, my aura was I think it was lit and wistful.
Oh
That
my
was that
god.
was it. Lit and wistful. And my top genres were Jesus Christ.
Honestly.
Alternative hip hop, which makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Underground hip hop, which yeah, that makes sense too. Gangster rap, Chicago rap, and soul.
Oh no.
Why soul?
Do you
I
listen
did
to
li-
Soul?
I do. I actually do.
Okay.
I do listen
Okay,
to
'cause if
like
you didn't listen to Soul, that would be concerning.
yeah. Like I listen to classic soul. I listen to
Like,
like
I mean,
Sam Cooke.
if it was, like, on there and if you didn't listen to it and I don't know. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah. Then it'd be really weird.
Yeah, that would be really weird, especially with my, like, emo one. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that probably just means like some of the works that you listened to
Yeah,
before, like the early,
yeah,
maybe like earlier albums, maybe they touched on that a
maybe.
little bit. You know what's so
Yeah.
interesting
I
though, and
also
I don't. Oh, sorry, keep going.
I also have to get dinner soon, sorry. 1 second.
Oh, it's okay.
So what were you saying? I could stay for, like, 20 more minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say what's so weird, and I don't want to toot my own horn or anything,
Yeah.
but it's just that I don't have. I mean, this podcast is only on for like 11 episodes so far,
Yeah.
and I will continue this as long as I want to. This is so fun to do,
Fine.
but
Yeah, that is
I
fun.
I it's just I have this podcast on Spotify,
Yeah,
and to do some quality testing, I did have to listen to a couple, my own episodes, which is
yeah,
jarring to listen to your own
yeah,
voice on an app that you use all the time. But because I don't listen to podcasts all that much, I only listen to like one or two.
mhm.
Because Spotify does the top 5, I'm
Oh my
actually
god.
on here,
Oh my god.
which
Yeah,
is I think I have a screenshot. I'm gonna send it
send
to
it, yeah.
the chat that we're in. Let me find it. I have it right here. Where am I?
And
Where am I? There I am. I'm number 4
oh my
technically
god.
on my top 5 podcasts.
That's so cool.
It's
I like
so I know it's so cool. It's so weird to like see, oh shit, that's me.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, definitely.
that's me. So I think that was a really light thing to wrap on. If
Yeah,
you ever want to
definitely.
be on the podcast again, we can talk about some other topics so far.
Yeah, definitely, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So, James Curry, everybody. All
Thank
his links
you.
is going to be in the description, portfolio site. Check out Sweet Dreams. Read it. Read it
Oh,
now. Read
thank
it.
you so
Read it now.
much. This was so great. I had a great time.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, links are gonna be in the description. I mind the timestamps. If you're watching on YouTube, it's also gonna be in the description as well.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I hope to have you back on the show again one
Yeah,
day. If you ever need some sort of promo to talk about anything, any new announcements, please
yeah,
don't be. I'm not that far to reach out on. So thanks
absolutely.
for listening, everybody.
Thank you. See ya.